Mindfulness. We're going to take a couple of minutes and we're going to practice some basic mindfulness training. So what I would like you to do is to move your chairs to a place where you're not looking directly at somebody. Ideally, if you could be facing a wall, that's perfect, but please move your chairs a little bit so that you have some space in between. We're going to blend a little bit of Eastern and Western traditions in terms of Zen practices, as well as some spiritual exercises from the Ignatian, the Jesuit tradition in terms of some spiritual practices. One of the important things in terms of meditation is we talked about mind, body, spirit relationship. So if I am slouched, it's going to be more likely for me to not be aware of what's going on. Slouching and leaning over is a way for me to tune out. And we know that from watching our students. So what you want to do is, again, and it's not about becoming rigid and stiff, but it's about becoming vertical. You want to try to sit upright, again, based on what you're able to do. Many people, when they start thinking about meditation or mindfulness, they think they have to sit in this full lotus yoga position, and that's not true at all. But it is about maintaining some verticalness, sitting upright, so that you can breathe, so that you can be aware. You want both feet flat on the floor if you're sitting in a chair, and you can let the chair support you or your back. And you can imagine if you had a string tied to the top of your head, and the string went all the way up to the ceiling, if somebody pulled on that string a little bit, kind of like a puppet, it raised your head a little bit so that your spine is straight. And mindfulness training is very basic, simple to do, and hard to do at the same time. In the Zen tradition, shikantaza, it's just sitting. It's paying attention to your breath. So all you do is you count your breath. You breathe in 1, and exhale. Breathe in 2, exhale, all the way up to 5. When you get to 5, you start again at 1. The idea of meditation is simply to be staying in the present moment. Again, ideally, preferably, when you're practicing awareness, you want to try to keep your eyes open at least a little bit. Closing our eyes has us a tendency to zone, fantasize, all those kind of things. But simply breathe. And the idea of non-attachment, which is in both Eastern and Western spiritual traditions. Non-attachment is watching things arise and watching them go. And that everything about life is changing. Whatever your state is, just simply notice it and watch it come and watch it go. So it'll take just a few minutes and just practice the mindfulness of watching your breath come, go, arise, fall away. And some meditations from the Ignatian spiritual tradition. Psalm 116 asks, "How shall I make a return to the Lord for all the good that He has done for me?" And consider all of the good that God has done for you. From your health, your relationships, employment, all the things you need that God has done good for us. And again, as you consider each piece, watch it arise, watch it fall. Be curious and hold it lightly, like holding a soap bubble. In the Buddhist tradition, mindfulness training is simply to train the mind. In the Catholic tradition, mindfulness training is part of developing and deepening our relationship with God, with Christ. And so consider what you might need to do to be able to open yourself even a little bit more to be able to hear God's voice today, to be able to let God in and let God speak. And the first epistle of John says, "We must stop expressing love merely by our words and manner of speech. We must also love in action and in truth." So consider, what actions might you put forward this school year that show your gratitude and love? What things might you do to support peace and justice, even a little bit more in your school? And to be gentle with yourself. We can all be highly critical and point to all the things that we missed. But just for today, I'd like you to look for possibilities of ways to act in love and peace. And then I would invite you to, if your eyes are closed, to open your eyes and bring yourself back into the room. But to bring yourself in mindfully. To stretch and move and breathe in whatever ways you need to, mindfully. And what I would invite you to do now is to just take a moment with a person near you and just share your experience of what it was like for you to go through this mindful process. What stands out for you. Take a couple minutes and do that and try to have the conversation mindfully.